All right, so before we get to AEW, I know you've been into NXT recently, yeah?
Yeah, I just feel like quietly because it's obviously not as popular as it was when Triple H
Right.
was there, and they're bringing in all these indie guys, and a lot. I think people got down on the product because they switched more towards like the homegrown people from the performance center and this and that. But it's really good. I mean, it's just really good right now. Like Carmelo Hayes as the champ is great. Braun Breaker heel turn, just being more and more
And
Scott
so we're
Steiner.
not so we're not bringing Braun Breaker up, huh? Like that was the sign, right? That's usually you lose the belt. It's happened to every other guy in NXT.
Uh,
Every other champion loses the belt. He doesn't continue to feud to get it back. He gets called up.
yeah, I don't know, but
Maybe this is their way. Hey, let's see you work as a heel
yeah,
before we bring you up, and then let's determine how we want to present you.
and I think he's gonna be good as a heel. I think he's gonna be real good. I think
So
he's
you're
got
saying
that.
he's starting to look a little bit more like Scott Steiner
I
as
think he's
far as the
got.
attitude?
I think he's got Scott Steiner. I think he's got some Scott Steiner in him for sure.
You see, there was some.
Obviously, well, yeah, obviously,
You see, there was some nonsense with his father recently, huh? With Rick Steiner.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Boy, that's not a good look.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good look, but they have they have Shawn Michaels is using their talent so well right now. Like Dijak versus Ilya Dragunov. Oh, that is going to be awesome. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing better than that right there.
And what are they
And,
doing with Indy? It's going to be Cora Jade that she's
and
feuding with right
right,
now.
Cora Jade comes back to feud with Indy. That's going to be fun. The
Yeah,
women's
that's
division.
that's an easy that's an easy feud to set up because
Yep,
everyone wants to root for Indy, so
yep,
that
yep.
works.
And the whole women's division is really good. I mean, um,
Did you see the video of
Sol
when?
Ruka is still awesome every time she's on the screen. I mean, she's gonna have to do something with her character eventually, but man, every time she wrestles, it's like holy shit, she is must watch.
Did you see the video backstage at Stand and Deliver of Candice LeRae watching Indy win the
Yeah,
championship?
it's awesome.
Good shit.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, so this I believe it's this week coming up. Wesley is fighting Charlie Dempsey, who, if you haven't watched Charlie Dempsey,
Yeah.
that's William Regal's son.
Oh, okay.
And he looks like William Regal. He wrestles like William Regal. He's very good.
But they're not
And
referring to him as Regal's son.
no, well, I don't know if they. I don't know if they. I don't think they have his name. He goes by Charlie Dempsey, but
Okay.
you could just see it. Like you watch him for 2 minutes, you're like, oh yeah, that's Regal's
Okay.
kid. And it also makes a lot of sense why he went back to NXT because
Yeah.
he gets to work with his son.
Yeah.
But there's just so much, like every feud that seemingly everything that's going on there.
And
right
what are
now,
they doing with Grayson Waller right now?
well, I don't remember what they had him for him this week. I mean, he had the Gargano match at Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, he could be the next one that comes up eventually. I think he's ready. He's
Right.
awesome. He's
Right.
very, very good. They brought back Gallus, which is like a great stable from NXT UK. There's just a lot. I just wanted to mention it because it seems like it goes in these waves where it's like you don't watch it ever, and
Right.
then all of a sudden they're doing a lot of good stuff. They got a lot of good stuff going on right now.
So let's get into AEW here. The big news, though, well, there's actually a couple of really big stories. So we'll start with the two really big stories. Then we'll talk about what took place on television this week. Number one, and this was over a week ago, the big announcement from Tony Khan was they are going to do they're going to do Wembley Stadium. All
Yep.
right. Now, what is it all in? What show is it? It's the end of the summer.
So,
They're gonna,
they've never. I don't believe they've ever actually done All In as an AEW pay per view.
oh,
Because All In was the pay per view that
that
the
kind of
Young Bucks
launched
and
everything.
Cody that launched everything as an indie pay per view.
Yeah.
I believe when they went to and when they became AEW, it was always All Out, and I think
Oh, so there's All Out, Double or Nothing, Revolution, and what's been the fourth one?
Full Gear.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I think I believe this is the first time they've actually
That's
done All
interesting.
In as a pay per view. And
So
doing it at
they're
Wembley.
going to Wembley Stadium,
Yep.
and I guess this question will lead us into the next topic as well. But can they come close to filling Wembley Stadium? It's like 80,000 people, man. AEW has never done a stadium show. B, never done one of these shows overseas. Now, granted, that could mean there's a ton of excitement because there's a lot of people who've never gotten to see AEW live, but 80,000 people for a company that's only been around, 4 years at this point, 5 years. That's ambitious.
Yeah, I think, but my understanding for a while now, well, who knows promoter type stuff. But like anytime you listen to Tony Khan talk about AEW, he talks about how they're just as, if not more popular in Europe than they are in the States.
Yeah, I would
Like
say he's not just booking
it.
this show all willy-nilly and crossing his fingers.
Right. And I've seen some early tweets from people saying that they've already sold a lot of pre-sales. Will they've booked the whole stadium? I don't know. I think they're going to have to come up with something rather huge as their main event, or
which
even
then leads us into the next part of this.
Right.
Question.
Yeah. But like, it's like, yeah, when I saw that, I was shocked. By the way, as a side note to that announcement, I know Tony Khan's the owner and the CEO and all that shit. Can somebody just tell him like to stop being on TV? He's so awful.
He's bad on TV.
His announcements are so terrible. And now like Adam Cole's just like his boy. Like now every time he does an announcement, he's like, we're going to Europe. And who better to announce it than
that is weird.
Adam, why is Adam Cole the best person to
That's his announcer. That's his announcer.
But then just let him do the whole thing because he's so bad. He just repeats himself. He's awkward. Like you don't have to be on TV, dude. You don't have to be on TV. But my first reaction was I had two reactions to it. One was about whether they can fill it, and two, they immediately put out like a graphic, and I thought the graphic to it was pretty interesting.
What was the graphic?
Well, the interesting graphic was that, they do like their AEW does the graphics where they have all the wrestlers that are going to be there, and then they have someone that's very prominent in the middle. It was Kenny. Was the prominent person in the middle.
Why is that interesting?
I mean,
wouldn't you agree he's their top guy?
Well, this is part of what I want to talk about today, which I know we will get into. Generally,
Kenny's in the main event, and
generally, your world champion is your top guy. I'm just saying.
Oh, is that always the way they've promoted those posters?
I'm not talking about AEW. I'm just saying in general, wrestling promotions should be promoting their top guy, their champion as a top guy.
Yeah.
Not off to the side from a guy who's in trios matches. Kenny's great. Is he the top guy right now? I don't know about that. I would say they book Moxley more like a top guy than they book Kenny right now. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. I don't see MJF other than in Long Island promoted as the marquee of the show a ton.
I'll tell you, man, it's pretty wild. And I was going to talk to you about this last week if we did the show, was because this was coming off those shows in Long Island. And when else? It's pretty rare, man, that the top heel in the company, which of course is presented as MJF, the top heel in the company, that he is a babyface still, like super babyface in their hometown. And every time MJF does a show in Long Island, he is a big babyface. And like the only other time that I can think, look, when Kurt Angle would return to Pittsburgh, he was still heel. Brock Lesnar, I feel like Brock Lesnar, whenever he would do a show in Minnesota, he was babyface. Like he could be a big heel.
Yeah.
Because I remember they did a segment leading up to SummerSlam one time of Brock and Undertaker. And, it was the SummerSlam where Undertaker's going to get his revenge on Brock for the streak. And it was in Minnesota, the segment that they did. And like Brock was the babyface. Hart Foundation, whenever Hart Foundation was doing shows in Canada, they were super babyface, even though they were the biggest heel faction in WWE at the time. But man, like MJF is a piece of shit in every other city. And when they go back to Long Island, major babyface. It's pretty impressive.
I also think and I don't know if you saw or heard Conan on his podcast this week or after the Long Island stuff, but he actually made a point where like MJF's not even trying to be a heel in his hometown. Like,
he comes out as a babyface.
Right. It's very like he's not like he should be like running down his hometown.
No, he doesn't. Like these are my people.
He always talks about how Long Island's the greatest place on earth. So he wasn't going to do that. But like, I guess because the conversation he was having on his show, and he's obviously a little biased, was that right now Dom is a better heel than MJF. And that if Dom was in San Diego, which is his hometown, Dom would shit on San Diego to get the heat.
And they would hate him. Yeah.
Right. And that MJF.
I don't necessarily think that Conan is biased there, but I don't necessarily think that Conan's wrong in that spot. Like even in other cities, forget Long Island. Yes, there's going to be mostly boos for MJF, but plenty of people are cheering because they know that, okay, he's going to say something fucked up that I'm going to laugh at, like something I'm going to enjoy this segment. So you are getting cheers. When Dom comes out, everyone hates that mother effer. No cheers.
No. It was it's interesting, and it makes you wonder how long can he just, I guess he could just be this tweener type of guy forever, because that's just kind of what he is. It's like when he chooses that he wants the crowd to like him, then he'll get them to like him, and when he wants them to hate him, he'll get them to hate him, because that's how good he is as a talker and on the mic. But I will say this, unless you want to go back to Wembley, which we'll go back to, I still feel like in the current what's currently happening in AEW, MJF and the world title are secondary to the rest. I just doesn't feel big to me right now.
No, the biggest story right now is the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club. That's the biggest.
I feel like the international title is bigger right now in AEW. I just feel like the position that they have MJF.
Well, but this is what happens when the champion never fights.
And as much as the Four Pillars story is fun, and it's a good callback and all that stuff, I was thinking about this morning, actually, when I told you I wanted to talk about this.
I don't believe any of those guys can beat him.
You have Sammy Guevara, who has spent the majority of his time in AEW with Chris Jericho as his mouthpiece. You have Jungle Boy, who spent the last year or so with Christian as his mouthpiece. And you have Darby Allin, who has 66-year-old Sting as his mouthpiece. How is any of this good for the champ? Like, these guys are not ready to be in this spot. They're just not. But
did you enjoy the Darby MJF segment this week? I thought it was good.
Because of Sting.
Even when Darby's been talking to MJF, I think it's been good.
It's fine, but Sting was the highlight of that.
Well, and the way to go, we can both agree, right, that the way to go here is MJF needs to beat the shit out of Sting, right? And that puts incredible heat on him and gets everyone behind Darby. Like, he needs to come a step away from murdering Sting.
I guess my thing is A, MJF never wrestles. And B, these guys are not main event guys. They're very good wrestlers. They have fan bases. People like them. Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, and Sammy, in the short amount of time that they are going up against the world champ right now in this feud, they're not main event guys. And it just feels like everything MJF and world title adjacent doesn't feel important to me.
I would also just point out,
I don't feel like that's good for the product. Like the world title should feel important.
Right.
Like it should always, at least when it was the Daniel Bryan thing, it's Bryan Danielson, Hall of Famer, one of the best ever. Even though it dragged out, you felt like it was leading to something big. This feels like it's leading to just another match where MJF's going to win.
Yes. And the other big guys like Omega, Blackpool Combat Club,
Hangman,
when they're not involved with the world title, this is what you get.
Yeah. Even it's like, man, wouldn't
good challengers are involved in a different program.
Now I'm thinking like you could have just continued Ricky Stark, so that felt big too. That felt really big for a moment. Like,
but he's got his own thing going on now too.
Sure, with the Bullet Club, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, they had the opportunity. I don't know. It just doesn't feel that big to me, which is not great, because that should always feel like, even if there's other things like, look, LWO and Dom and Judgment Day feels like the most popular thing there is.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel bigger than the Bloodline.
Right.
It just doesn't. Right. So there's always other things that are going to feel great. Right. Cody and Brock is huge. That's a huge thing.
Yep.
It's not bigger than whatever Roman's doing. But everything, a lot of things feel bigger in AEW right now than what MJF's doing. I don't know.
So there's a lot of rumors out there, and let's circle back to Wembley and how they may believe that they're filling Wembley Stadium. CM Punk coming back because FTR, Dax Harwood's been talking about. He brings up CM Punk's name any chance he gets.
He's Punk's personal promoter.
He brings, he talked Punk wants to come back. Punk misses. He brings up Punk's name any chance he gets if anyone is willing to listen. And you got all kinds of rumors going on out there. They go, and not only have they booked Wembley Stadium, but now you got a new show that's coming out. And so let me get this right. AEW Collision is what it's going to be called. I kind of like the name. I like the name. AEW Collision is going to be a Saturday night show.
Sure. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Not going to do well.
It's a lot of programming, 3 shows a week. It's a lot.
And two of them on Friday and Saturday night.
Worst TV nights of the week.
Yep.
It's a lot.
And now technically they have 5 days of wrestling because they have AEW Dark Elevation on Monday, AEW Dark on Tuesday.
It's a lot of wrestling.
Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. And the rumor was that they could potentially be doing like sort of a split, like a roster split.
Right. Well, I hope that's what they wind up doing because I don't have enough time to add another night of wrestling. Like I have a hard enough time keeping up with everything as it is, and now they're going to.
I don't watch
Rampage.
Saturday nights. I don't watch Rampage.
I watch
highlights.
Watch
I read about it.
Yeah,
I read about it, and I watch highlights. If there's a match that I feel like I have to watch, because every now and then there's, you see highlights. You're like, I gotta go back and watch that. But
yeah,
and because they also do this random thing with Rampage, like the IWGP Tag Team titles got defended this week on Rampage. Like,
oh yeah,
that's weird.
It'd have been nice to know that.
Like, why is that happening? Like, why? Like, but why? Also, why is it happening? There are tag team titles in AEW. Like, why are we bringing in the New Japan tag title? It's just
back to the Punk stuff then.
Yeah.
At Wembley Stadium, I mean, if you were to tell me we're getting the Elite, we're getting Kenny Omega versus CM Punk, and like they're gonna do business, and we're gonna get like that would be hot as hell if CM Punk comes back and they turn this real story into a story on television. That would be very, very big. Very, very big. Let's see these guys working together. Who's going to be the guy who goes over? That would be very, very big to see if these guys can work together.
Yeah. Is it big enough to sell at Wembley Stadium? You think you think that's the one that sells? I mean, you're probably right. I think I'm just so over the CM Punk drama that I'm like, come back, don't come back, but let's just make a decision here.
I think it'd be really enormous. I think it'd be really enormous.
But I think the timing would have to be right? So like, when is the Wembley show supposed to be? It's in a few months. I
think it's at the end of the summer.
So you'd have to hold off on the CM Punk return for like 2 months. Like it would have to be like pretty close to Wembley. Because if he comes back in like 2 weeks and then we see him a bunch and we know that people are, then it kind of takes away from the allure of it because.
Well, look, the Elite Blackpool Combat Club feud is not going away anytime soon. So a CM Punk return to confront those guys would not happen until the end of that. So we're still a little ways away, if that's going to be the case.
Now, here's the other part of it. Jericho has been relatively like open on Twitter about the fact that or privately, whatever, but like, I don't think he wants to work with CM Punk.
But that's also what makes it a moneymaker.
Right. But it just seems like they're going to have to, they still have some serious stuff to work out. Jericho is very influential seemingly in that locker room. I don't think they're just going to bring CM Punk back if Jericho's not going to do business. Like if he's not going to want him there, I don't know. And I also feel like look, when he came
Jericho
back,
cannot want him there, but the money is in the Elite versus CM Punk.
Maybe, yeah. But I think there's a real life thing here with him and Jericho too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But my other thing with Punk is like, you're bringing him back for that one moment because when he came back the first time after 7 years, it was like a historic moment. It was incredible. Yep. The rest of the run up until he got in a backstage fight, very forgettable to me. I don't really remember a whole lot of his run in AEW. It wasn't that great. And if he comes back, it's going to be a huge deal. Maybe they sell out Wembley. And then quickly, I think it's just going to be another guy.
Like, well, who knows when his contract runs out? Maybe his contract doesn't have a lot of time left, so let's use him for one more big program, and that's it.
True. That's true. Because my thing with Punk, it's just similar to what I feel about with Bryan Danielson and even like what WWE has always been great at has been making you care about these guys that you think will never get over in the WWE product. So like Daniel Bryan was massive because it was like he's being held back. He's so good. He's being held back. Mm-hmm. CM Punk, he's the best in the world, but they'll never give him his shot. Sammy, he's incredible. CM Punk as I'm the best and I was a champion in WWE and I should be the top of the card in AEW. He's not that compelling anymore. He just
we haven't seen him as a heel in AEW.
Yeah.
Like, so, and I would have to believe, unless they're in Chicago, CM Punk is going to be presented as a heel against the Elite. He has to. If we're going to take the real life and put it on television, CM Punk has to be the heel. So does that make him compelling? Does that make him a compelling figure when most of his AEW tenure has not been compelling? Yeah, maybe it will.
Possible. It's possible. I think I'm getting a little jaded on it just because it's like bigger than anything else that's going on the show right now. Like, will he show up? CM Punk wants to wrestle. Dak said this, and it's like, I keep going back to this, but like, I know how good CM Punk was and maybe still is. And I know that a lot of these former WWE guys are really good. There's so much good shit on the AEW roster. And we continuously get caught up in the former WWE guys, which is not what made AEW great in the first place.
Speaking of former WWE guys, do you like what they're doing with Jericho and Adam Cole? You into that?
Sure. I love it. I like that Adam Cole I love that Keith Lee is getting something relevant.
I would say, aren't we headed toward a place with Keith Lee? Because Keith Lee clearly does not have a lot of respect for Adam Cole. He made that known. Adam Cole helped him out this week. Like, I think we're eventually headed toward a place where Adam Cole is going to turn on Keith Lee, and that's going to be the feud that we really get is Cole and Keith Lee.
It's possible. People were also saying that this is like a callback to when Adam Cole was getting called up from NXT,
right?
Supposedly Vince wanted him to be Keith Lee's manager.
I don't know if that was true.
But no, I like Adam Cole and Jericho. I like Adam Cole and Keith Lee. I think
we're eventually getting Cole and Keith Lee.
I like that. I like all of this stuff that's going on there. I like that, 2 weeks ago, Jericho did the thing where he stopped on the ramp and kind of looked back at Cole. Yeah. And then this week, Cole did the same thing and called back to it. They're two of the best. And Adam Cole is, man, he might be the most over.
I love him, man. I don't get there's plenty of people who hate him on the internet. I don't get it.
On the internet, yes. But like the crowds, they lose their shit for Adam Cole.
I love him, man. I love him.
And Tony Khan obviously loves Adam Cole because he's his announcement guy.
That's right.
Half of that, at least the episode that I watched, was almost entirely based on Adam Cole and Britt Baker of that behind the scenes show. And
have you been watching that All Access?
I watched the first episode.
I'm not watching it. You know what? There's a part of me where it's like, I don't want to know how all the sausage is made.
They don't give it to you.
No,
it's a reality show. I mean, even like some of the stuff that's behind the scenes feels like, hey guys, go over there and have a conversation about this. It's like one thing that I thought was interesting in the first episode was like, I didn't know that Britt Baker and Wardlow are like best friends in real life.
Oh, really? I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Like apparently they've been like, they've been best friends for so long. Like people used to think they were like dating and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like she's telling that story and then they cut to a scene of the two of them in the gym lifting or like working out and her talking about how she's nervous for her match coming up, which is possible that they just happened to catch that conversation. But it also felt like one of those things where maybe they had a conversation, like in reality shows, my understanding is like what they'll do is like a conversation will happen and like maybe they didn't get the best part of it and they'll be like, go do that again. Go do that again. And I think that's what it felt like. It felt like the conversations were too perfect that they just so happened to catch. Like there was a behind the scenes of like Britt Baker talking about Thunder Rosa.
Right.
It's like they just so happened to catch this part when there's been all of these rumors about people not being happy with Thunder Rosa. They just so happened to catch Britt Baker having this conversation. It felt like a scripted reality show almost, where it's like, we're going to get you guys to say these things. It's going to look really good. So
yeah, I haven't been watching. I know the Britt Thunder Rosa thing is like a huge deal on that show. I haven't been watching.
Yeah. I mean, the what you wouldn't have liked is that, well, I guess it's before they started feuding, but there's like segments of like, Britt and Jamie Hayter talking to like Paige and Tony Storm, like backstage, like friends.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. I'm still, I'm good with not being shown everything. I don't need to see. I know wrestling's. I know it's scripted, but I don't need to see it. I don't need to have it thrown in my face that this over here is part of the show and this over here is real. Like, I don't need to see them all chummy hanging out backstage. I don't know. It takes away from it for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't need to see everything.
And also just wasn't that great to me. So
last thing here, let's talk a little bit about Blackpool Combat Club. I think they're doing a terrific job because none of those guys right now are likable. I think Moxley in general is pretty unlikable. I mean, the violence is not necessarily for me, but that's okay when we're talking about a heel character. Like, good, do things that I don't like. And Bryan Danielson is a great heel, and it ended up being this week where it looked like Kenny Omega was going to stab Jon Moxley. He was going to murder him, right? That's what we saw.
Well, he's
going to murder him with a flathead screwdriver.
It was an attempted murder. I mean, that screwdriver was in the turnbuckle. I mean, that was going to be Jon Moxley's head. And
they're not going to suspend him, right? Attempted murder, it's okay.
No, attempted murder is okay. I mean, Hangman, hung.
Yeah, that's
Moxley,
right.
And he never no repercussions for that.
But if Mox didn't tap out and he died, would Hangman have been suspended?
Yeah, well, I think that's actual murder. So I think attempted murder is okay. Actual murder might cross the line.
Where are we headed with this? Like, what's going to be the big blow off?
I mean, more of Kenny Omega wearing jeans because that's when you know it's serious.
How about that gash on Don Callis's forehead?
I know that's crazy. That's pretty crazy. But when I saw Kenny Omega came out wearing jeans, and I'm like, this is a serious rivalry.
This is about to get real.
This is getting real when everyone in the Elite's wearing jeans.
And Page got taken out last week, right? That's why we didn't see him this week. Yeah. They beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, okay. Hangman. Yeah. I think they're gonna do one of those like. I was thinking either Blood and Guts, which is War Games, or Anarchy in the Arena. I think is one of the things they do, or it's just like a brawl all over the place.
Well, this week's gonna be super cool, right? Because we're gonna watch Dynamite this Wednesday, and maybe they set up something awesome for the following week, which is when we're going. It's gonna be here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. On the 26th.
2 episodes. We got this Wednesday, and they're going to set stuff up for the next week. So we're going to find, and they're taping Rampage too. So we're getting Dynamite here in Sunrise in 2 shows.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So we may get a big. There may be a big match then. What we're headed toward.
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that, but I mean, at the minimum, we're going to get all those guys on the show
because we got good stories going on right now between Jericho and Cole, between the Elite and Blackpool Combat Club, and then MJF and the 4 Pillars. We're probably going to get some cool shit here in a week and a half.
Yeah. And to me, I mean, I think it's not going to be very long until Bullet Club Gold is one of the tops. We're going to be talking about them every week.
Are they going to add someone else, you think? Or are we like a guy away?
That's what Bullet Club is. I mean, Bullet Club's like the NWO. Bullet Club's like, you just never know. People just join and leave and join. And then there's different versions of it. I mean, there's still Bullet Club in New Japan that's run by David Finlay or whatever I think it's his name, David. But, and now there's Bullet Club here. And then the Elite itself is an offshoot of the Bullet Club. And then there's still free agents. Like, I believe Tama Tonga, who was a big deal in Bullet Club, is kind of a free agent. And then I feel like Kota Ibushi is going to be in there. He wasn't Bullet Club, but he was Kenny Omega's tag partner and with the Golden Lovers. So like Jay White and Juice Robinson, Bullet Club. I just think Bullet Club Gold is going to be a big part of AEW now. Like it feels that. First of all, Jay White you could have brought Jay White in as a face, even though he's a great heel to go against it. Like he could have immediately been in the title picture to me. He's that good. Every time I see him now, when he debuted, they kind of botched the camera work, which wasn't great. Cause it's like, you saw the Bullet Club thing. So you knew it was Jay White, but then they didn't show him like come out of the entrance. They showed him when he was like halfway down the ramp running to help Juice Robinson. So that was a little botched, but I think these 2 guys, first, I love Juice Robinson too, but Jay White's he's top level immediately. I think they're going to be involved at a high level going forward very, very quickly.
All right, man. Did we leave anything out?
Which is the opposite of what I think about Jeff Hardy coming back.
Yeah, it didn't do anything for me. Yeah. And I don't know, what was with the chair? Like, and with like the logo, the Jeff Hardy picture, I don't know, was there something to that? It's like, this is my chair. I sit on it and I hit people with it. What's the deal?
I don't know, but I didn't think he looked good for the first time ever. Like usually when he comes back, he at least looks like Jeff Hart. I think he
it
looks
didn't do
out
a
of
lot for me.
shape.
Didn't
Looks
do a
out
lot
of
for me.
shape. How many chances does this guy? I mean, I hope he's getting his life together, but how many chances are we going to
I
give
hear
him?
you.
And why are we going to keep putting him back in this position? Obviously, wrestling is not a healthy atmosphere for him. He keeps fucking his life up.
Right.
I don't know. That was just crazy to me that he's back again.
Yeah, I hear you. I think we did a good job catching up on everything. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. There's a lot going on. I think we covered pretty much all the big stories there. We got Raw tomorrow, obviously. We'll see if Brock answers Cody's challenge. That was a week ago. I think we'll probably get that tomorrow. Wednesday, let's see what sets up for the following week in Sunrise, Dynamite, and Rampage. So we got some big stuff going on here this week.
Oh, there's one thing we didn't get because I don't know how I forgot about this. You asked me. Grayson Waller, #1 contender.
That's what he is right now.
He won a match on Tuesday to be the #1 contender.
Oh, okay, cool.
For NXT. So that's good. Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, can't be mad at that.
All right, there you go, man.
I just didn't want Victor to get mad at me on next week when he does corrections that I didn't know.
Yeah, Victor, we'll get back to your corrections next week. He's like our stats guy. All right, so we'll get him back involved for next week's show. Joey, why don't you tell all your fans that you're glad to hear from them and see them again, and you'll talk to them next week. Go ahead.
Yeah, I missed you guys. It was a long 2 weeks. I'm sorry that we didn't get to you last week, but we're back. We're better than ever. We're on the road to Night of Champions, the 1000th day, all in. We got some good stuff coming up, I think.
All right, good job, Joey. Thanks again, everyone. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that fun stuff. And of course, we'll talk to you next weekend on It's Still Real to Me.